Ah, the orange circle. You know what I love about it? Well, wait a minute. I don't need to tell you what I love about it. I mean, just look at it. That old-timey feeling, that beginning of that thing you do feeling, which is where it's from, or the little Mr. Sandman Back to the Future, Hill Valley type of feeling you get from it. All of that is awesome. Not to mention it's full of antiques, but you know what the thing is? I used to come down to the Orange Circle and film all the time because it used to be a ghost town. Now it's a little more difficult. I found a little quiet patch, a little quiet moment where there's not too many people walking around here. But that is very rare these days because the Orange Circle has become so popular. It's full of so many little restaurants and cafes and bumping music, particularly on the other side of the circle itself. And it's now just become quite the hip, happening hotspot. And it's also the sometimes vlog, yeah. It's a vlog that happens sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't happen close enough together, but I hope to remedy that here. We'll keep things short and sweet, we'll keep things moving along, and we'll keep cranking out the sometimes vlog. Their second channel is back to life. Now, I look a little ridiculous, and it's kind of dangerous because I'm wearing white, and I'm not used to wearing white, so I keep leaning against walls and stuff. I get really dirty when I wear white, but sometimes it's part of the charm. You get that old off-white look to your shirts because they get all grimy and greasy like green gopher guts, great green gobs of it. You know what I'm talking about? And today I look a little bit silly though because I'm wearing the coolest t-shirt I've ever made. Look at this. This is one of my favorite things we've ever done, the 10-year Randomland t-shirt. But the reason why that looks so silly, because let's face it, the shirt itself, whoa, Carmen Gia. The shirt itself doesn't look silly. The shirt itself looks awesome, if I do say so myself. In fact, all these people keep walking down the sidewalk just to tell me how awesome it is. Then they see I'm talking to you and they don't want to rudely interrupt. The shirt itself looks awesome. The reason it looks a little silly is because I've paired it accidentally with the 10-year anniversary Randomland hat. So now I look like a walking commercial, which is why I decided to bring it up in the first place. Let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room that I put this on today because I finally got my copy of the shirt. I was all excited. Hey, look at that. Look at that Camaro, that's nice. What are these vintage cars down here? It's like it's just playing the role. So anyway, I finally got my copy of the shirt, but I've been wearing this hat for the last week or so, and it's kind of become one of my go-to hats, like my favorite hat. I've got two of them. I got a dirty one that I'm all sawdust covered, like painting in and doing all these projects for, which will have to be a separate sometimes vlog to talk about. And then I've got this one, which is my clean one, which is probably still covered in cat fur because I was running around the house with the cat earlier and cuddling the cats and doing stuff with the cats, and I get cat fur all over me all the time. Anyways, I'm down here in the Orange Circle, standing in front of the Antique Depot. The Antique Depot here on the east side of Gliselle Avenue, looking at the Antique Station on the west side. That's right, there's two stores here. There's the Antique Depot, you can see the sign up there. I think you can see the sign up there. And the Antique Station. A lot of people get confused about this because, of course, I have got a little antique store shop here, a little stall in an antique mall down here, a stall in a mall down here in the Orange Circle. And a lot of people come down here and they go, yeah, something to do with trains, antique trains, out in the Antique Depot. And they go in the Antique Depot and they cannot find our little Randomland booth. Well, I have exciting news about that little Randomland booth. It is not in the Antique Depot. It is right across the street at the Antique Station, and I have very exciting news about it. And there's been a lot of work going on at the Antique Station, a lot of new stuff going on down there. I got to a point last year where I got so overwhelmed with projects and so overwhelmed with things happening that, to be honest with you, I just really had no more time for that booth. And really, it was partially designed when we first set up an antique store shop and we were kind of sharing space, and we got our own space, where Allie was going to spend a lot of time working on it, but then she got sick, of course, and then when she got better, she was like, oh, there's a lot of music over here. Look, getting funky over here. There was a lot of just stuff going on. She was back to healthiness. She was back to being able to do some of the stuff that she wanted to do in this world, and she really ended up not having much time, especially going back to school and all of that kind of stuff. So the other people that were helping me with the booth, they were also out of time. Basically, nobody had time and money to kind of run it and to kind of pay attention to it, to kind of keep things organized, to come down to fold shirts, to put stuff in its proper place. And things started looking a little shabby. I'm not gonna lie to you. Things kind of looked like chaos. In fact, I didn't come in here from like October to May. Basically, when we did the meetup last year in September, that's the last time I was really active. Was it August maybe? Might have even been in August or the beginning of September. We did a little meetup in the parking lot out here, which turned out to be a very hot day, a day much like today. And just due to space and time restrictions and other things going on, we ended up having to do it right around by the dumpsters, because the spot we originally were going to put it in were the handicap parking spots. And then when we went to set up, some other people had taken the spots that were supposed to be the temporary. Anyway, it was a whole long thing. We ended up getting moved by the dumpster. So any of you who were at that meetup, I apologize. But it was free. We had a good time. It was a fun time out there in the heat, although some people had to give up early and go home. Anyway, pretty much since then, August, September, all the way until May, I had very little to do with it. And we'd come in, we'd throw a thing or two in there every once in a while, but that was about it. We tried to keep it, you know, out in the back of our minds, and I kept thinking, maybe we'll close it down. I don't know, I just don't have time to run it. And then right when I was about to pull the plug, say in April or May of this year, I was like, yeah, it's just really getting to be more than I can handle. And lots of times when I would come down here, I would just spend too much time talking to everybody. It was just not possible to come film it and stock it and talk to everybody every time. I was kind of sad. I was like, we're gonna have to pull the plug. And then at the very last second, my mom, out of the blue, was like, well, don't close it down. What if I help you run it? Which had always been a goal of mine. My mom has sold antiques on Etsy for years. Lots of glass stuff, lots of very interesting stuff like that. If I could remember the name of her Etsy shop right now, I would shout it out. Maybe I'll put it in the thing below. But she sold a lot of glass and antiques and stuff like that on Etsy, and she's worked estate sales and different stuff and found like little knickknacks and different things that are like nice and rare and all that kind of stuff. She's good at it. She's the one who gave me this love of antiques. She's the one who took me to my first antique store ever in my life. She's like, no, look, it's not old junk. Check this out. And this has a history and this has a story. In fact, my mom was the one also when we were traveling a lot with my dad when we were kids. Like every time we go on a family vacation, she'd be like, no, look at this plant, look at this, and think about the story and imagine yourself being there. She was always good at firing up my imagination, and she really definitely did that with old stuff. My dad would throw everything old away. I think he appreciates like a fine antique well and properly placed, but he's more of a minimalist. I think my mom has at least maximalist leanings with me. You know, you've seen my office. It's pretty, talk about over maximalist. What's higher than it? What's 2 degrees higher? Minimalist, maximalist. Well, minimalist, normalist, maximalist. What's like 2 degrees up? That's me. I like clutter. I like stuff. Maybe because my brain is cluttered, I feel at home like that. Anyway, she agreed. Well, what if we helped take it over? And then my dad got involved and my brother got involved. Well, yeah. And I was like, well, part of it is I just never got to design it the way I wanted it. And we never got to build the shelves or the cabinets the way I wanted. And they were like, well, what would you like to see? We kind of came up with a rough plan. They said, okay, no more input from you. You're out of it. We're going to come up with the plan. We're going to install it so you don't have to stress. You go out there. And I went on that road trip and all that stuff. And they have been super busy building stuff, installing stuff. And I did go out and hunt for more antiques myself. Allie and I both went out and assisted in the hunt, and my mom has been doing pricing and doing all kinds of stuff. And so it's gone from just the Randomland booth being sort of my booth. Oh my gosh, what a crowd coming this way. Look at the size of that crowd down there. I don't know if you can see that. It's gone from like Allie sometimes and me sometimes to kind of a family business. I got my whole family roped into the Randomland booth. So Randomland has burst the bounds of the internet and become a booth. And not only that, it's now like a little family business. Everybody's kind of involved, and we're still figuring out how it works and rerunning. And so I wanted to wait until there was like a big grand reopening and it was all finished, and they finished the entire plan and the whole build out to come down here and show you. So I've been sort of ignoring it. So even though, like I said, that all started in May, and it's been May, let's see, June, July, and we're getting towards August now, and I haven't talked about it much. I teased it a little bit in Randomland, but I haven't come down and filmed a whole thing because I didn't know when they were going to be finished with the whole build out. Like I said, I was being kind of kept away from the plan, so I wouldn't stress or I wouldn't have too much input. Like, why are you doing that? Or just stay out of it. Trust us. We know what we're doing. I believe them. I do trust my family. They're very good at stuff. Anyway, the point is I kind of avoided it because I wanted to film a big grand opening thing, maybe do a meetup with it, film it for Randomland, a whole long edited video, and go give you a full tour. But the problem is they've been working on this thing for months, and they've been building stuff for it, which I'm going to show you in a second, and building it out, putting all this hard work into it, and it's just going to be more months until it's finished. But meanwhile, everybody who had visited the antique store for the last year or so and saw it kind of waning, not too much stuff in there, you know, like, well, you know, the Randomland booth's pretty bare and all that kind of stuff, might not be coming back. And so it's summer vacation, people are out and about, they might be wanting to come down to the Orange Circle, go down to Disneyland. We're only like 5 minutes away from wherever we are from the park, 10 minutes, something like that. And I've got to show you this booth. I just got to show you the booth. So this is not the grand reopening. Let's call it the soft reopening, because it's like half remodeled. And I'm sure walking by, because we haven't like painted it a dramatically different color, because we haven't put a new sign up yet or anything like that, I'm sure just walking by, a lot of people haven't even noticed anything have changed, because, you know, most people don't pay attention. Neither do I. I got 4 fingers pointing back at me when I say that, you know, four fingers pointing back at me with that one. I don't pay attention. I often miss the little details, or sometimes I see the little details and miss the forest for the trees. Anyways, the point is, I'm getting distracted. There's so many people around. There's so much activity. The point is that we have something going on in here. And so we'll call this the soft reopening, me sharing with you the Randomland booth. Okay, so here's the antique station. It used to be an old Alpha Beta grocery store, and you can actually see the letters. Now, they're very difficult, so I'm gonna move the camera a little bit, but you can see the L, P, H right here, A directly in front of us. So you can sometimes see the ghost writing of the Alpha Beta on the front of this store. That's a weird little historical tip. After that, it was the satellite market. Once this was a much outdated thing. This used to be a whole parking lot. There was no building here. Then it was the satellite market. There was one on Catella, close to Disneyland. And there was this satellite market. And when those closed, first of all, this place became the wood shop for something amazing. It became a shop when it was empty for something really cool. And then it became an antique mall, the antique station, and then later they added the depot across the street, which is cute. They're little matching names, but also kind of confusing. Okay, so we're gonna go inside. People might talk to me. I might get a little distracted. You might have to be on the fly, be on the fly on the wall, be a flea on the fly on the wall during some conversations. But we're gonna see if we can get in there and get a clear shot at the booth. That's the hard part. There's a lot of looky-loos on busy days like this, but we're going in to the antique station. So what you want to do is, you see the candy machine with the good hot tamales in them? I try so hard to avoid sugar now, but I can never avoid the hot tamales. And if you don't have any quarters, that's okay. Gina will help you out over there. You hang a right at the hot tamales, and then you hang your first left right over here. Oh, see, there's people down there. And that's where the Randomland booth is. So I'll give you the walk by, and then we'll wait until people are out of the way. And then we'll cruise back towards it. We'll cruise back towards it. If I walk backwards, do we look less suspicious? If I walk backwards, are we looking less suspicious? So here it is right there. There's the spot. There's the booth. But since there's some customers in there, we'll keep on walking. And since I figured that would happen, that's why I teased you with what this was between Alpha Beta Satellite Market, Gap, and then Antique Store. This whole thing became a warehouse, a working prop shop or carpentry shop for the movie. Hello. That Thing You Do, which was all filmed. Thank you, Mary. Which was all filmed down here in the Orange Circle. That's Mary. She's the manager. So you got to stay on her good side. Trust me. Stay on Mary's good side. She's a good lady, that Mary, but you want to stay on her good side. So this became the carpentry shop for that whole movie. So they took this entire, at the time, empty grocery store. I was about to say abandoned. It wasn't abandoned. It was just empty. They took this entire empty grocery store, turned it into the carpentry shop for the movie. And this giant sign right behind me that lots of people come down into the very back of the antique station and see is actually a big giant prop. It was one of the signs on the storefronts on the street out there for the movie That Thing You Do. It is not for sale. They've had plenty of offers, but it's coming apart. So I've been noticing this with the employees lately. It's just a little bit of plaster over these boards, and then they painted them, right? Like a sign painter. And we can't figure out, like, oh, what are they gonna do? You know, the owner and people bump into it and stuff. So if you know how to restore something like this, or you'd like to volunteer to restore and preserve a piece of history, I'm always saying, guys should get someone to restore it and then stick it up high somewhere and save it. But a lot of people don't even know what this is. Definitely come get your picture taken with this sign. That's a little piece of That Thing You Do history. And there's another piece, I'll tell you an inside thing, I don't think they want anybody to know, but back here in this area where they have all the ladders and the chairs and stuff like that, buried behind all this stuff back here is another sign, another one of the neon prop signs from the street that they just left here in the carpentry shop. I cannot say that word for some reason. Carpentry shop when they were done with the movie. I was just thinking, why is it so dark in here? And I realized, because I've still got my sunglasses on. So, hello there, how are you? So anyway, so that is a sign from that thing you do right there. One of the greatest movies ever. I believe that was Tom Hanks's directorial debut. Heck of a movie. You doing that? You guys remember the song? You guys know the song? All right, let's go back and see if the booth is open for filming. Now, you remember we were back here. We were in the very back of the store, and we were sharing some booth space with a friend of mine who's still here, our friend J-Man. These VHSs we put in there, and we still haven't even moved those. And then we finally got, so we have this shelf and kind of this wall, and that was about it. And then we kind of graduated to having our very own space in here and having the responsibility of the rent and the whole thing and the percentage and the whole thing. And it's like a real business, and we're running it. And then things, what's up, Jay? And then things started to go down, and I just couldn't keep up, and it was getting a little overstimulating and overwhelming. And now it's all coming back to life. So here it is, right here. The Randomland booth. Now, like I said, at first glance, you're gonna go, I still see the same display case, I still see the same sign in the back, I still see the same sign up here, but I promise you, it is all completely different. So some of that stuff's gonna change. We're gonna change the walls, we're gonna change the sign, we're gonna change the floor. This will eventually go away. But what you don't notice in a passing glance, in a passing glimpse, is that everything behind this display case has changed. So look at this. First of all, let's just talk structure here. Let's just talk structure. There's many wonderful things and treasures I'll show you in a second, but let's talk structure. Look at this really cool print rack that we've got right here. Look at this for big old posters. We got Randomland posters mixed in here. We've got old vintage prints. So you know when I do the Randomland time travel episodes, I have to invest a lot of money and time in old pictures and old film and all that kind of stuff. And finally, we have the ability to, like, look at this classic tiki room picture here. We've got pictures of Calico Ghost Town. We've got some rare stuff like Jungle Island and Alligator Farm stuff. So there's some rare and interesting prints and stuff right there. These I'm taking with me today. These are, well, I'll talk about those in a second. But look at this rack here, custom built on top of a custom built shelf. So we finally have real proper shelves instead of weird old wire shelves that we used to have in here. We've got this here for other prints and for interesting stuff. Like, look at these Disney things right here. Like I said, we've been going and hunting down all these really cool Disney items and different things from all kinds of places. Look at this Life magazine right here. This Life magazine I used in a Randomland episode, and not only is it a 1983 Star Wars George Lucas special, and careful, it's fragile, the binding is fragile, but it's also got a big old article about Route 66 in there, which is fascinating. But look at all these paper ones. We finally have little custom-made cabinet thingies here for old vintage Scoutorama stuff, for old vintage Knott's Berry Farm menus. And what is this? Discover Hot Springs, Arkansas notepads. We got old magazines. We have 35th anniversary of Disneyland pop-up maps in the package, sealed, mint. I'm trying not to talk about the treasures, and here I am talking about all the treasures. But the point is, look, we have these ways to display them now where they actually look nice. They don't get trashed. We used to put nice stuff in here and it would get trashed all the time. And so we have a lot more display area. But best of all, would you look at the size of that? Look at this dinky display case. Not very wide, not very tall. And then look back here, taller. It's hard to get a perspective here. They're taller than this, they're deeper than this, and they are the whole width of the back of the booth. We've got two brand new lighted display cases full of some, honestly, some great stuff and some really weird stuff and some funny stuff like the Naboo accessory set. But we haven't even begun to stuff this stuff with the stuff because they're replacing the stuff with the stuff. It's overstimulating, you see what I'm saying? But these display cabinets right here are all brand new. And guess what? Here's the kicker. None of, well, it's paid for, but none of this stuff was purchased. By the way, if you hear a weird whining, high-pitched noise in here, it's because there's a jeweler on the other side of this wall, and they're always grinding stuff and sharpening stuff and doing the with the wheel and stuff. So some of it might bleed through. You might hear some of that. Just know that that's not like the camera or something weird like that. That's the nature of being in here during business hours. So And I don't have any kind of deal with them to come in after hours. If I could come in after hours and spend all night in here looking around, I would, trust me. But they don't even let me do that, folks. They know I'd get too excited. And they know the Randomland rat would probably sneak in, and then his tail would be knocking over. It would be a disaster. So they got to keep Randomland out at night, pretty much. It's not night at the museum in here. It's night, go home. Go home and sleep well. All this stuff is paid for, but none of this stuff was purchased. My brother and a lot of my dad built all of this stuff. I don't know what the percentage lies. You know, like, did my brother design 15%? My dad designed 15%? Or I don't know what happened. But my brother and my dad designed all of this and built all of this furniture. And I know my brother's been busy, so I know my dad has done a lot of this work, which is super, super cool. I know they were probably worried whether I was getting excited or not, but like I told you, I was waiting for the, I'm gonna let you look around the booth while I talk. Why am I showing you my face? They were getting, I felt like they were kind of getting bummed even because they were building all this great stuff, putting all this stuff in, and I hadn't filmed it yet. So I was trying not to even be excited in real life. Believe it or not, I am this enthusiastic when I film. I sometimes save up my enthusiasm for something like blinders. Like, just don't pay attention to the exciting stuff happening in the booth, because I know when I go down there to film it, I want to be excited. I want to be really looking. So I'm kind of taking this in really for the first time as I'm here talking to you, because I've come in here on a mission. I got to put vintage 1960s plush Mickey Mouse from Disneyland into the booth, put him into the booth and leave, or whatever I'm doing down here, you know, and not look and not get excited. So I think they were kind of like, aren't you excited about these cabinets your dad built? I am over the freaking moon. Would you look at the size of these cabinets, the craftsmanship, and they were built to maybe be painted over if we change the theme or anything like that. And they were built to be budget friendly, but he just did such a good job, even using like the wood, you know, the Home Depot. I can't believe this is like Home Depot wood and made in a garage in a couple of weeks. And it feels like it's been a long time because I'm like always on the move and all crazy, but it was really fast the way that they did this. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I know it was mostly for my mom because my mom's getting all involved, but I like the idea that my dad got a little bit involved for me also. I like the thought of that. I know my dad loves me, don't get me wrong, but I love the idea that my dad built something and we get to use it and all that kind of stuff. You know, like when I recorded my last album, I used my dad's guitar. I'm a sentimental sap for stuff like that with my dad. My dad's a quiet guy. In some ways, we're very much alike. We both kind of live to work people and all that kind of stuff. But my dad's a real quiet and I'm real loud and annoying. And so, you know, we often didn't have a lot of hobbies together when I was younger. And then I got older and my dad's like the coolest, most supportive person. I went to go record an album. He paid for the first album that we did, or helped pay to press it. That's what it was. And all this different kind of stuff. He's always been super supportive. And the last couple of years, we haven't had any kind of project to work on together. And even though I wasn't in the garage hammering with them or anything like that, I'm like actually kind of super stoked. I don't want to get choked. I want to be stoked, so I'm gonna just gloss over this a little bit, but I'm super stoked that he got all involved and helped build these cabinets. Now my brother, I'm also grateful that my brother is involved in building stuff, but you know, I expect that from my brother, because once my brother hears a problem, he gets like how I get sometimes with my friends, where he's like, I'm hearing a problem, I can see a way to solve it. Let's solve it. And then he gets himself all involved and gets all deep. So I expect it from my brother. I'm grateful for it, but I expect it. I was surprised by my dad, like, yeah, you know what? I'll take on this gigantic carpentry job and build all these cabinets. And so look at these cabinets. These are handmade by my dad, by Greg. Handmade by Greg. And so it's cool. We got the plexiglass doors on there because we're always worried about people kicking the glass or breaking their knee into the glass or falling or something like that. So it's safety glass. And yes, now let's look at some of the treasures. Look at this organ cave. We got vintage souvenir plates from all kinds of places. We have an old 1930s traveling doctor's kit. So that's some of the chemicals you would have for mixing prescriptions for a traveling doctor. We've got vintage Fantasyland cups in here. We've got some action figures, a ton of Ninja Turtles. There's some Dick Tracy over there. We've got Howlin' Mad Murdoch, who's been in here for a long time. Are there no A-Team fans left in the world? Am I the world's only A-Team fan? I had two of these. It's my personal Howlin' Mad Murdoch. No one was interested. But look at these vintage Peanuts over here. We got this guy, he's got his little rubber mask on his face. So there's all kinds of vintage toys in here and accessories and things. That right there is a bootleg Star Cops toy gun. You can't find that anywhere. That is like a vintage 80s, no, 90s? 80s or 90s bootleg Star Wars gun, very cool. You got the monkey bank right there. You have got these giant, oh, look at that. Bobby Burgess, there's his book right there and a letter he wrote to the person from his personal stationery. And so triple signed to this lady who bought his book, who was a longtime correspondent of his. He was one of the original old school Mouseketeers. So you've got that Miss Piggy Cup. I didn't even see that. I don't even know where my mom got that from. And then over here, you got the giant Magic Kingdom maps. There's still a few of those left. Come down and get them. Here we got the Fur Skins Bear. This is the guy that created Cabbage Patch. Before he did the Cabbage Patch Kids or whatever they were called, he did the Fur Skins Bear. And look at that. It is signed right on there, 1985. Nobody has noticed the signature because the shirt's kind of in front of me. That's a real signed Fur Skin Bear. And I bought this from some doll collectors who had all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of a funky, weird 80s thing, a very specific customer, I know, but that is a really cool thing. His shoes are still intact and everything. And speaking of the 80s, oh, look what we have up here. We got Steve freaking Urkel, and he still has his glasses. They need to be super glued onto his face, but they still have the string. So he's hanging out here riding a wooden reindeer with a chiplope. This is a 1978 Star Wars Death Star playset trash compactor. A nice piece of Star Wars history right there. We got a little Batu helmet that London outgrew. We've got the 1997 talking C-3PO case. We got the Thanos thing with the jewels. We have got all kinds, though. This is the main thing. We have fully stocked ourselves on vintage Disneyland stuff. We have got everything from McDonald's toys and kind of more modern-y stuff. Look, 1955 to 1990, so 35th anniversary mug. All the way back and back and back in time, from Disney Store plushes. You look at that little Disney Store, vintage Disney Store tag on that guy, to, like I said, 1950s and 60s. Let's see. Oh, no, this is an 80s plush Mickey. There's a 50s one in here somewhere. Maybe it already sold. I don't know. But all the way back to 1955 Disneyland memorabilia in here. Everything from a Pinocchio movable nose watch to check out this wallet right here. Look at this Donald Duck wallet in perfect shape. There's still all the little clear plastic sleeves in there. This is like the early vinyl type wallets. I mean, that is so cool. Look at that. Someone was selling that at a garage sale at some point. Look at that. So that's 15 bucks. It's a kid's wallet from look at that old school. Notice it doesn't say Disneyland. Copyright Walt Disney Productions. That's an old Disneyland souvenir right there. Donald Duck on a kid-size wallet. We got some really interesting stuff here. Allie and I picked this from, where the heck did we get this from? Northern California somewhere. Oh, on the California coast. We got a little Charles Dickens over here. We've got some monster screwdrivers, somebody custom made, and we got a hold of some weird monster stuff. Some stuff that's been hanging around in here for quite a while, but I'm telling you, we have boxes and boxes of stuff. So never again is there gonna be a rush and then all the stuff goes away and then there won't be more stuff. Look at this. Okay, this is the coolest thing. I wanted to keep this really bad. I didn't keep this because I've got the Indiana Jones and the Star Wars and the Batman collections. I don't really need another collection, but I really thought this was cool. Director Mickey, fully posable action figure. So when the heck did they even make that? Arco Toys, very rare. You don't see that anymore. It was in the bin for $2.99 back in the day when it was originally retailing for $3.88, excuse me, at Toy City. It has the Toy City tag on it. Now, most people aren't going to know what that is. Toy City was a series of toy stores. There was one down here in Anaheim that I used to go to, and it was my favorite toy store. By the way, there's still some Orange Circle exclusive shirts. This is the last time we're ever printing these, and these are stocked up in here, and there's that many, but there's a little bit more, I think, at my mom's house, so there's just a few more. There's like one tub left of these, and they will be gone forever. We reprinted these because people keep asking for them. You have to come down here to get them, though. There's these. So there's a bunch of shirts that have disappeared from the website that are never coming back to the website, but you can come get them down here. And we have all sorts of sizes in here. They mostly run towards the smaller sizes because the big ones tend to sell out faster on the website, and then we get stuck with the smalls. So they do lean small, but I can already see there's some larges. These ones we have in basically every size down here. And so if there's one out of stock, you come by the next day, it'll probably be a new one in stock. But look at this, we got everything from old strawberry shortcake to whatever in the world this is, to whatever in the world that is. We got all kinds of toys and games. This is a radio that you put around your neck. It still works. Not in here because this is like a black hole for radio signals, but you put this thing around your neck and then you put the speaker to the side of your head. So it's like a very old school bone phone. That's what it's called. 1970s. I can't remember the name of it. And then we've got everything from, look at this. Look at this. We got this battle set and action adventure play set. We got Happy Days, the board game, the Shadow game. We got a MASH game. And these are my favorite. Look at, please somebody come by Fort Cheyenne. I'll almost pay you if you come by Fort Cheyenne. We have this awesome old school vinyl play set with all the little army men, guys with the soldiers and everything inside of there. And it's just been here for so long and nobody's noticed this little gem, Fort Cheyenne. We got to clear that out. Come get Fort Cheyenne. But look at this. This is one of my favorite things of all, is all these vintage placemats. Look at them from various different ages, right? Some are 80s, some are more 60s. Look at these things. And these ones are thick. These ones that are like die cut like this, they are so stinking cute. I can't stand them. Like any of these could be almost framed like a poster. They're so cute. Look at the Pinocchio one right there. I can't stand it. I'm making a mess. Poor mom. Sorry, mom. I'm making a mess in here. They got this elephant thing. You got a speaking of the thing, look, there's a cup from the thing. We got this thing over here that Allie got in Nevada City. It's this handmade little house over here made of rock and wood, a crafty thing. There's an old chess set. We got old vintage matchbooks. This, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? This right here is mislabeled. This is mislabeled right here. But that is a Kenner micro collection binoculars right there. Very rare. And this is also a Kenner micro collection Bespin freeze chamber right there. So there's all these little things. I personally got that from the Fountain of Youth. This was in my bedroom for years in Florida. We've got all kinds. Look at this vintage Donald Duck. Okay, this was a bank here. They replaced the bottom of the bank with this old Wheat Puffs lid because apparently they lost the original bottom at some point. But this is a rad Donald Duck bank. Look at how funky and puffy and kind of vintage that is. You can't get those vibes from anything else. And then, of course, we got Harold Warp's Pioneer Village. I got that from Nebraska, brought that back last year. We got a Hannibal, Missouri pendant from the old Mark Twain's boyhood hometown. And so some of that stuff's been in here for a while. And speaking of stuff that's been in here for a while, I'm going to show you the good stuff in 1 second. The really good stuff up here. These have been in here forever. All right, I guess I better hurry up and continue. The camera just overheated is what happened, which I didn't even know was possible, but I guess that's how long we've been yakking, and I wanted to keep things short and sweet. Anyway, these were in here forever. They are replicas of signs for the Rainbow Rock Shop in Holbrook, Arizona on Route 66. Perfect replicas, even down to the pencil marks and everything. And they never sold, so I'm taking them away. I'm giving this as a gift to somebody who wants it, and this I think I'm gonna do a giveaway for. Not sure what kind of giveaway I should do. If you have an idea for how to give away that sick Route 66 replica sign, hit me up in the Facebook group, The Sometimes Mob. And the link will be down below in the description. Okay, and here's the last thing I want to show you. Look at all these. Look at, we got everything from Viewmaster reels to old photos, old postcards up here. There's all kinds of pins, and we're gonna have tons of Randomland pins. There's already some in here, and patches that you can't get anymore. These are hand inscribed and written and signed by Walter Knott. There are 2 of them here. They're very rare and hard to find. It was a little booklet about George Washington that he had reprinted, and then he inscribed and wrote these little messages to people in here and signed them himself, which was rare at that time. So usually he would have somebody else do the writing and then he would do the signature. Not in this case. He wrote this whole thing. Look at this. That's a little ring thing. It's my favorite thing. I wanted to keep it so bad, but I couldn't. Tinkerbell right there. A little metal Tinkerbell holding a little tiny tinkery bell, and you put your little rings and jewelry on there. That is a compact from Disneyland in the 1950s. It still has the makeup inside of it and the clip to put a little lipstick on. You want to go full vintage, you need that right there. There's a little Mickey Mouse puppet. There are Disneyland ashtrays, this cute tiny little mirror, perfect to go with the makeup case, and so many cute little plastic souvenir figurines, old vintage Minnie Mouse, wind up walking Goofy, with some more modern stuff like that Doom buggy in there. There's weird old trading cards. Look at this Route 66 ashtray in there. You got old Disneyland happy birthday plates. You got old Disneyland records. And you've got, look at this coin purse right there. How cute is that? So there's so much Disney and other, look at these mid-century cups are so cool. Those are from the 1950s. These are Davy Crockett glasses, which a promotional one from a furniture store. Those are super rare. We have got Yoda, an original old school Vancouver mint, not a new replica, an original Yoda in there. And so there's a bunch of cool stuff. And I can't even believe how much stuff isn't in here. So now this is the first time I've come down and really absorbed it, and I'm blown away. Like, everything is so awesome. I realize that to you and to the average person, Standing back here, it doesn't look much different yet, but it has all been completely changed, and this side will eventually be changed too. What's up there, I'm assuming, is probably going to be changed. We'll have a whole new look, we'll have a whole new feel. So this is the soft reopening, and we could use the support, trust me, because we put out a lot of hunting and got a lot of stock. So there's so much that isn't even here yet because it doesn't even fit in here yet. So come down, check it out. I think the sticker machine is restocked. If it isn't restocked at this moment, I don't have any quarters to test it. It's going to be restocked. These are the last of the old school magnets. We do have some new vehicle magnets, and those are on the online store. So if you can't get to the antique station, if you can't buy a giant Magic Kingdom map, which has a secret that no one has discovered yet, there's a secret on this Magic Kingdom map that no one has discovered yet because they were created for an event. As replicas. That's why they're smaller than the huge ones, but they're bigger than a regular little poster. And they were created for an event, and then the event never happened, and so these were basically just going to be thrown in the dumpster unless they came here. So we have a few of these left, and there's a secret on it. See if you can come see the secret on this framed one. Or buy the framed one, and then try to discover the secret. Either way, but if you can't get down here to the antique station, which by the way we have awesome neighbors. Look at this chair right here. I want to sit in this funky chair really quick before I go. What is a plastic egg chair like? I'll tell you what it looks like. It's nice. Anyway, if you can't come down here to the antique station and check out the Randomland booth, the as seen on Randomland, and all this is going to change, so these will eventually be for sale. If you can't come down here to see this, come down here to see our excellent neighbors. We have all kinds of neighbors in here with all kinds of similar stuff if you're into it. Vintage stuff, vintage action figures, old school t-shirts. There are, look at there are souvenirs and cups. If you're into souvenir cups, there's a Snoopy head and a mermaid and a Yoda and a shaggy dog. Do you like the shaggy dog? You're the man now, dog. And of course, down over here, 2 aisles down from us, you've got the infamous Bob Gurr booth. Well, this is it's not owned by Bob Gurr, but it's owned by a friend of mine who also sells all kinds of crazy Disneyland replicas. So you can come down here and get an old vintage print from me. You can go down here and get an old signed by Bob Gurr, Walt Disney's last original Imagineer still living. Original Imagineer. Notice I said the word original Imagineer. Bob Gurr autographed poster, print. You can get all this crazy stuff. And there's so much more. All of our neighbors are really great. I can't even begin to go down the list of neighbors on this adventure. We'll come back on a future sometimes vlog or a future Randomland, and I'll show you more of what's going on around here. But they got everything. You can get your legs into stirrups and go to town on this place. All right, I gotta take off. I gotta get those signs out of here, and I'm really worried that this camera's gonna overheat again because it is warm. And even though it feels pretty good inside, I guess standing outside for so long and walking around and talking for so long was no good for the camera. So come down, check out the antique station. I'll run you by one more aisle before we completely take off. I promise you, why did I put my glasses back on? I promise you the staff are friendly, they're nice. I mean, they have bad days like everyone, I'm sure, but I've always experienced them to be friendly and nice and helpful. They can help you get prices for things. Look, you can get a Paul Simon cassette, huh? When's the last time you saw one of those sitting around in a store? There's all kinds of shelves and display cases and nautical nonsense. And look at this. I've also got a bunch of vintage Star Wars action figures. So if you don't want to wait for mine, there's some over here. There's a creepy Ronald McDonald. Is that Mr. freaking T? Plush Mr. T? Oh, everyone's always getting upset with me because I'm always coming in here and buying stuff. I might need that plush Mr. T. I don't know. Or this. Hey, Spike, you don't have one of these. Hey, Spike, come down and get one of those. Look at the size of that marlin. Do you even have a tiki bar if you don't have a giant fiberglass marlin? I mean, come on. There's Teletubbies and vintage Disney stuff. There's the jewelry going on right there. Like I told you, lots of stuff going on here at the antique station. So yes, this is sort of a commercial. It's kind of a pitch to get you to come down because I wanted everybody to know about the soft reopening. And there were so many months of people coming down going, hey, we came by. There really wasn't much in the booth. Now there's tons of stuff. You get the signed posters over here and of different kinds. You got all kinds of sick things I picked up from various places, sometimes in other countries. And look at that. What a beautiful monorail right there. So please come get a print. I would really appreciate that. A t-shirt, I would really appreciate that. An Urkel, whatever you want to get. Whatever you want to get, it's up to you. You know, one thing that was really sad though, speaking of neighbors, before I go, the last thing, I used to come in here all the time and point out this lovely framed picture of Paul McCartney, the original Paul McCartney before he faked his own death and got replaced by that guy, right? Where he went off to Australia and became a sailor. And I thought it was gone, and I was so sad when I thought it was gone. Like, no, Paul McCartney. And I just found out He's still here. It's Paul McCartney. I'm hiding out in Australia, mate. Let that other guy walk around with his shoes off, because that's not me, mate. I'm down in Australia. My accent's changed. Tell Ringo. Right. John Lennon. Anyway, it's still here. It's $20. I'm broke right now. All the money's out into the stuff and the stock. And I've been carving tikis. I got some tikis for sale. Not millions of them, but we may do a pre-order. So pay attention to Instagram if you're interested in hand-carved, finished and painted tikis stuff. And other wood carving stuff. Follow me on Instagram. Why did you follow? You're not following me on Instagram? You didn't add me to your favorites? You probably haven't seen any of my posts for the last 5 years if you haven't added me to your favorites, because Instagram chokes things down, doesn't show you everything. You gotta add me to the favorites. Am I not your favorite, mate? Right. But even though I am kind of broke right now, it's $20. I was sad when I thought it was gone forever. We might need to preserve this thing. Or do a giveaway with this. All right, number 81, I'm going for it. I'm buying Paul McCartney. Justin Scarred out. For now, everyone, you've done your duty. Go home. Sleep well. Yeah.